You have a lot of customers coming in and buying things from you. And without data, you might be unable to understand your customers' preferences, what their behavior is like. These kind of things might seem little, but they bring about a pattern, a trend, and this would help you as a business owner tailor your products based on the kinds of customers that you have.
Many African businesses are collecting numbers without direction, sales figures without meaning, customer data without strategy, and reports without action. The real advantage is not who has the most data, but who knows what to do with it. When data is properly understood, it becomes a compass showing where to invest, what to fix, who to serve better, and of course, how to grow sustainably. Turning data into actionable insight is about moving from guesswork to clarity. It means using information to understand customers, predict trends, reduce waste, and make smarter decisions in real time. And for African businesses operating in fast-changing, resource-constrained environments, this shift is no longer optional. It is survival. On this note, I say welcome to Just Africa on Sook News Television. I am Opeyemi Labode, and today on Just Africa, we're talking about how African businesses can use data to make smarter decisions, track performance, and build a culture of evidence-based management. To help us drive this conversation is Opeyemi Labode. She is a data analyst, performance management specialist, and the founder of Beyond Data Tools. Opeyemi specializes in helping companies transform from raw data into practical insights that drive results. She brings expertise in analytics, performance management, and data literacy, offering hands-on approaches that businesses and professionals can apply immediately. Hello, Opeyemi. Welcome to Just Africa.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, you look beautiful. How are you doing this beautiful afternoon?
Very well, thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Okay, so let's have the conversation around data. So we often hear the phrase data-driven making decisions, data-driven. So we hear that. What does that actually look like in a typical African business?
Okay, thank you very much. In the growing world right now, we know how it's become important to not just run a business, but where data has become largely important in profitability of businesses. And how so? Let's just take an example of a random bank or a small business. You have a lot of customers coming in and buying things from you, and without data, you might be unable to understand your customers' preferences, what their behavior is like. These kind of things might seem little, but they bring about a pattern, a trend, and this would help you as a business owner tailor your products based on the kinds of customers that you have. I would not be selling office dresses if my business is close to the beach, because the kind of customers I would have in that area are people going to the beach, right? It's just the same with across all industries, across all business types. Data is very important in understanding your customers, the preferences, and the main aim to become a profitable business.
Yes, I like the fact that you said it's very important for every business. But do you really think Africans, especially SMEs, do you think they really bring in the importance of data into their businesses? For instance, after collecting the data, do you think they really use the results they get? Do they apply to the businesses?
Okay, so one of the biggest challenges, as you have said, for many African businesses is not the lack of data, it's the lack of direction. Exactly. Or poor data quality. There's inconsistency. Many people just focus on getting these reports, but they are not actually using it to make decisions. And that's the difference between some companies and other companies. In Nigeria today, I can say data awareness and data literacy is becoming a big deal, and is becoming the distinct line between a well-structured and well-performing business compared to a business that is struggling. We have a lot of fintechs that take note of what their customers are saying. We have Nigerian banks taking note of what their customers are saying and tailoring this to fit their customers. It's still a slow drive, but it's way better than where we were a couple of years ago. And now more customers or more businesses are more inclined to not just keep this data, but to actually make sense of what they actually mean. We are getting there. It's not there yet. Yes, we are getting there. But once data start getting tied to goals, like I want to ensure that this year I make revenue of a particular amount as a business, then I become more interested in monitoring my data to say, okay, this is the number of customers I have now, and this is what I can get to achieve this revenue.
How do we measure that impact? Are there ways in which that a company or an organization can measure the impact of data in their businesses?
Yes, we can measure it. And that's, for many business, especially like right now, it's still the beginning of the year. Many companies are still in the mood of making plans for the year. This is what we are going to do this year. This is how we are going to grow our business this year. And the importance of data is to say, this is where I am right now as a business, and this is where I am going to, right? When with data, you can measure. For different businesses, we have different key performance indicators, different things that are important to them, right? For example, a Nigerian bank will measure the number of customers that they have. They will measure the deposits that they get from the customers. We are looking at that right now. And they will make a plan to say, at the end of the year, I want to have this number of customers. I want to grow by this amount of customers, or I want to grow my deposit by this amount. Then we have tools that they use in measuring. We have some for basic small businesses. They will look like Excel or Google Sheets. They will do like visualizations with Power BI to daily monitor what they are doing. What is not measured or you cannot get results. You understand? So you need to constantly measure, keep your eye on the ball, use these tools to see how much impact or how in terms of the direction you want your business to go. So you create your key performance indicators, and then you track them using data that are relevant to those indicators.
Okay, so I like the fact that you talked about some people feeling, some businesses assuming that data are for some person, especially SMEs. So I want to ask, how do we ensure, or first of all, what are some of the misconceptions when it comes to data analysis, when implementing the results when it comes to businesses? People have different misconceptions about it.
Yes, very, very good question. Actually, I think a lot of business owners just think that data analysis is far off. It's for big businesses,
exactly.
Right? And yes, that's what but even in your small way, even for small businesses, you write down the number of people that buy from you, write down the cost of things, right? The only difference now is you are just turning these things you are writing down into action. Now you have a business goal. What decision am I trying to improve? What change am I trying to see in this business? Or what, like the metric that would drive what you're trying to improve is what becomes your key performance indicator. Now, for a small business, let's say I sell Ankara, for example, right? I know the people that buy from me, but I know that I can get more customers, right? The onus is on me as a business owner to bring in data, not just because we're saying data analytics as a term, bringing it into action, meaning that I already have this business goal. Now, what are the things I need to do to achieve what my business goal is, right? That is where analytics or data analytics come. It's just that some businesses already do it, but they just don't frame it as that, or they don't follow through. Like to the end of it. Now, I know this is what I want to do for my business. I decide on the metric that is important. Then I start monitoring this metric. I start checking on it. I start doing things. Now, it depends on how big an organization is. We have data analytics going into experimenting. Like, okay, I tried this is like an experiment. Hey, did this work out? Did this not work out? I try out something else. Then I write it down. Okay, when I did this, I got 12 customers. These are the feedback I got from the customer. Then you incorporate what you have learned, right? Into, like, you take the feedback and try to model it to make the business better. So it's just like a reiteration of things to ensure that you meet your business goal. Things like basic Excel, for example, you already keep a list of all your customers. You should be able to look at the list of customers and say, okay, these customers have been buying from me for 6 months, and these other customers have not been buying from me for 6 months. Then you can, that's like understanding, that's like basic analysis. You have just identified your inactive customers, as simple as that is. Now, the next step will now be following through. Out of these customers that I've identified are inactive, I can send them emails or I can send them messages to say, hello, I'm still in business. And then you can do promotions. Do you understand? You do things like that, and then you watch to see the feedback. Now, out of these customers that you have just reached out to, how many of them responded? How did they respond? All these are part of the levels or chains of analysis, right? So you then look at it at the end of the day. This is what I had when I did this. This is what I got, or this is my current stage. Then you can look at it. Can I still get better? Can I try something else? Right? Then you're just analyzing based on what you already have. So I can see, out of maybe my total customer base, only 40% patronizes me, or they have just done one-time purchase. What about the other customers? Is it that they didn't like the first one that they bought? Is it that their experience was not good? Those are the things that are involved in data analysis, and it's very tailorable based on your own business. It's not a one size fits all, because my metric as an Ankara seller will not be the metric of a Nigerian bank.
Okay.
Right? It will be the metric of a Nigerian bank. Yes. So you just tailor the metrics based on what your business goal is, what decision you're trying to improve, and then you track only the metrics that influence that decision.
Okay, Opeyemi, I like what you're saying right now, but an average business person or an average African business person listening or watching right now will feel that those metrics, those numbers, those things are for people who went to school. Now, let's break it down a little. Someone who has no formal education, who does not really understand the numbers that much, how can the person be able to carry out this data analysis that you're talking about, and how to implement it into their fast-growing business? Because African markets are mostly informal and they are fast-moving. So how would they be able to do that?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So, one of the things you mentioned when we started is that the business world is ever evolving. Many of our Nigerian parents, 10, 15 years ago, if you told them they would be on WhatsApp, will probably argue with you, right? The only thing that is constant is change. Now, the first thing for a business owner to thrive in this ever-growing world is to understand that times are changing. And even though we are not saying you become a tech genius, you have to understand that to remain competitive in a business, other people cannot be doing this thing and it's working for them, and you say you want to stand on your ground and not try to evolve. Now, as you said, many of these businesses are informal. And to truth be told, many of these business owners, they do have data. As I said, they do have it. They know the people that buy from them.
Yes.
An average pepper seller knows their customer. An average Instagram vendor knows they know the people that buy from them. So the only thing now is this is what I already have, right? These are the customers I have. These are the kind of people that my products appeal to, right? First of all, is understanding that. After understanding that, with what your data has given you, that I have 100 people that bought from me last year. Out of these 100 people, it could be a bit manual for small businesses. And that's why I said tools like Excel. Excel is still very basic, right? And I understand that a number of people might not really know how to use it as much. And that's where we have like trainings, and if they're open to outsourcing to third-party companies. But if you're still a small business, in fact, on your notepad on your phone, right, you can make a list and say, these are the people that patronize me, these are the people that have bought from me in the past year. The record keeping for most of these businesses is good. They do have records. It's just what to do with the records that they have and transforming it to improve their businesses. That's where the issue usually is. They have the numbers, it's just fragmented all over the place. So understanding that, okay, I have these customers, this is what I got. An average business person will tell you how much they made last year, or at least a serious one. They will have an idea of a range that they made last year. It's part of the data. It's part of data keeping or record keeping that they already have.
Yes, all right. Thank you very much. But I want to ask, do you have any example of any business that has used data to scale his or her business? And of course, they saw the difference in profit, especially when they were using data and why they weren't using data. Do you have any example of such?
Yes, I do have. And I do have examples across both large-scale businesses and small-scale businesses.
Please, let us have it.
Yes, so great. So, for example, with the Nigerian bank, for example, because I worked with a Nigerian bank, right? And I was opportunity to work with a fast-growing Nigerian bank that in less than 10 years of their existence have become a top Nigerian bank. And how were they able to achieve this, right? It's the power of data. And what do I mean? They knew that they were new in the market. They understood that we have the top 5 banks already, and they knew that they were up against the big guys. But what did they do? The customers that their initial customers, the new ones that they had when they just opened up, they started keeping track of their customer behavior. What do these customers want? What do these customers like? What are the kind of things that appeal to these segments of customers? And by that, they were able to come up with tailor-made offerings for these particular customers. And what did that do? That increased, when you bring and most of their customers are, I want to say, affluent customers. I don't want to say, they're not like mass affluent. They just look at it that, okay, a lot of Nigerian banks are going after everybody's money. But these customers that we have, these are the kinds of offerings that they prefer. These are the things that is lacking based on their feedback to the bank. And what they did is they used this information to create tailor-made products and offerings for these customers. And what they did is those customers in turn spread the word about the business, and their customer base has more than quadrupled. They are not 10 years. It's not a 10-year-old bank. I just don't want to mention the name of the bank. But if I do mention the name of the bank, I am very sure that you would have an idea of why, of like the growth I am referring to, right? It's because of the need that their data allowed or showed, okay, this set of customers, this is what they need. And that was what they focus. When I said you pick a metric, this is my goal, you pick the metrics and then you just track and ensure that so they're counting how many customers do we have that have this kind of needs, right? And they were able to, and that's a big, let's just assume that that's far off, right? We have small businesses. I have a couple of friends with online businesses. And one of the ways that data has been able to help them is understanding the type of people that patronize them, even online. We have these ads that they do on social media, on Facebook ads and things like that. Many people will just do ads and just tailor everybody and just make the ads for everybody. And I had a friend that was constantly doing like general ads, right? And she was just complaining and saying, I'm not really getting value for the money I'm putting into this advertising. And then we just had to look at the kind of customers that she had, because I'm like, you can't be targeting the whole world. The whole world is not your customer base.
Exactly.
Right? So with that in mind, she was able to streamline, okay, what are your top customers? What are the people that patronize you? What kind of people are they? Where is their location? Right? And these things seem like very small things, but they are things that eventually, by the time she tailored our adverts to just those sects of people, our business is doing really well. Really, really, because the people that need the information are the people that are getting it.
Yes. Okay, so
yes.
I mean, now the thing is this: with the example you've given, it means data is so important. But why is it that data is so often ignored at the point where decisions are made? People still keep using instincts. They want to use instincts. They feel instinct is still winning. They feel, let me just trust my guts. Let my ancestors speak to me. Why is data still being ignored?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that, for especially the older generation, it took a lot, even for an organization like a bank, for data to become adopted, or data-driven insights to become adopted. And the reason is because they have done it in a way, or they are used to doing it in a way that seems to have been working, right? They've been doing it in that way. And when Nigerians, when something works, don't jinx it. Let's just continue like that. My instinct says that it works. Yes, we have, especially the older C-suite executives, and I'm even being very serious. The data is saying that we should open a branch in a location, and you say, my instinct says that location is not very good.
Exactly.
But then that's where bringing your facts and numbers come in for like those kind of people, like the C-suite executives. So I'm not saying that sometimes instincts do not work, because it has worked for them, right? But sometimes what I try to tell my the people I speak with or people I work with is, it can be better than if your instinct, without being backed by data-driven numbers, can give you this. I can assure you that this is, like, numbers do not lie. If people are doing it and your customers are saying this is what they want, and you are saying you want to go in the opposite direction of what they want, because you are not going to be the one that will buy all your products by yourself. You will not be the one that will use all your products by yourself. It just won't happen. It just can't happen like that. So sometimes I understand that the adoption has been, it's been better than a couple of years ago. It's really been better compared to like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And once they try it out and they see it working, it becomes easier to adopt.
Okay.
Is when they are not, maybe they try it out and they are not seeing the difference. And that's why I used to say, give room for experiments. We will just say, let's just give room for especially for small businesses. This is the way we have been trying it out. Let's call it experiment A. Right? Let's just try this out as experiment B. If you want to run them concurrently, if it's possible to run them concurrently, that's fine. But if it's not, we have done it to this point. At so dates, this is what you have been doing. So let's take a 30-day trial and use this method and see. And then with the help of tools like Excel or Power BI, you can measure real time the impact that these decisions are like making. You can really see it, what it's doing. If it's performing well, you will know. If it's not performing well, you will know. So I think it's just because of the nature of the older generation to know that they have been in business before. I've had a C-suite executive say, I've been in this business before. How old are you? What do you know? I've had those kind of conversations before, and most times I just smile. I don't argue with them. I just say, okay, I understand you, but can we just try it out? And now you see them spending billions of money on data analytics tools right now, especially for Nigerian banks. You sometimes just get emails and be wondering, like, how did these people know?
Exactly. So that is actually my next question. What do businesses stand to lose when they ignore data?
Well, you stand the risk of being stagnant. You stand the risk of losing your competitive edge, because when everybody already knows something and you don't know, That's just the best way to you see that Nigerian banks, for example, everybody's running to do something, especially when one person does it. They'll use one person as the experiment to see, how did this person's customers, how did they react to this? Then they ask their own customers and see what their reaction is to it. Because they have asked their customers, they're able to tell that, okay, this would work or this will not work. But imagine that you say, oh, I am saying no to data. And you're just going on your vibes and instincts. It will take you so far, but you won't get the maximum profitability or the maximum potential that business is supposed to get.
Okay.
That's majorly it's for businesses that do not adopt analytics.
Okay, so using the banks sector as an instance right now, are you saying one data that works for a particular bank automatically will work for another bank? If I sell food, does it mean the data I have, it will automatically be able to work for another person who sells food? Is that what you're saying? Because data.
No. That's why I said when you see that a bank has adopted something, then you ask your own customers, because it's your own customers that are your own customer base first before you sell it out to the public. Right? So it's just like the adoption of ChatGPT, for example. When people were going to start adopting ChatGPT, there's a few sect of people that started. And some people were like very slow to the adoption. Even till now, some people still do not use ChatGPT, right? And I cannot say that they have lost monetarily, but there's a lot of time wasting that would have been, or things that would have been automated if they have gone on the ChatGPT lane. That's just exactly the way it is here. You try it out. Let's say, for example, a bank brings up an offering. Now you test it out on ask your customers, this thing, do you like it? Or else you stand the risk that your customers will leave you to go to the other to the competitor. But I do not mean that you automatically just say, oh, because these people are doing it, means that you must also adopt it. That's why I said experiment. You ask questions, you get surveys, you send out surveys. You see most of the banks at the end of the quarter, they send you emails saying, what are your top banks? What services did you enjoy? What services did you not enjoy? Things like that. And the reasons why they are asking is because they are trying to keep track of what their other competitors are doing that you might want as a customer.
Okay. All right. Opeyemi, thank you very much. So, moving on, you are a data analyst, and there are young people who also want to come into that line of business or profession generally. Now, the question is, are there some skills or some requirements they need for them to become a data analyst?
Yes, great. Great analysts need to understand business first, and then the tools second. Because the people that you'll be speaking with most times, they don't even understand the tools. So if you have gone to learn tools without understanding business, you will have difficulty communicating with the people that you're supposed to be giving this information to. So beyond, I don't want to start with the technical tools. You first need to understand business thinking, analytical thinking, understanding how organizations make money, what problems they are trying to solve, how decisions are made, and how you can then help to solve these businesses. Now, when you understand that for some businesses, revenue is their target, for some profitability, for some customer numbers, you have to put yourself in the position of the CEO, because those are the kind of people you will be having communications with, and you don't want to be misaligned when you have conversations with them. Now, the next thing is that you have to get some technical skills. For basic or like an introduction into analysis, I would say you start with Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets and SQL. Those are important. But as important as they are, data storytelling, being able to analyze the data and tell a story from what you can see, and being able to communicate insights properly to people that are non-technical, like your stakeholders that are not technical. Those are like very important skills. But if it's the technical one, the technical bit of it, you need to understand Microsoft Excel, SQL, Microsoft Power BI for visualization, Python if you want to go deep into it. But if you're just starting out, just those three, you should be able to gain experience without getting a formal role with those.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so I like the fact that you started with the simple skills that they require. So when you were founding Beyond Data Tools, that's the name of your company. So when you founded it, what problem were you trying to solve?
Okay, so when I founded Beyond Data Tools, the focus for me was to help people build real world experience, not just theory. And that's because it's easy to go online to learn how to use Excel, how to use SQL. But in an environment where that knowledge matters, just knowing how to use it might not really work. Because as I said, understanding the business, understanding like critical thinking, understanding data storytelling, communicating to stakeholders, those are not things you watch on a YouTube course. So young professionals need to learn or gain practical experience without having like a formal analytics role. And that's the focus of Beyond Data Tools, to help people or create opportunities for people to work with real data without having a formal data analytics role. And then teaching them not just the tools, but also the soft skills part of it.
Okay, so as a lady in this sector, has there been some challenges that maybe because of gender thing, some persons feel, she's a woman, why is she in this sector? Have you ever faced anything like that? Yes, that laughter shows that there's something you want to say, really.
Well, my last boss, he was saying that, he used to say when they wanted to get someone as an analyst, he didn't want a girl, he didn't want a lady. And his reason was simple. He said, this job is tedious. And he was saying it from a perspective of being empathetic. He said, this is a rugged job. I don't want someone that would be scared to talk about things, because sometimes you just have to say what it is. You have to just, because the numbers are not lying, you have to say. So he was really like, I really want a guy. But then when I resumed working with him, he would say, I don't think I need a guy anymore, because it is important that you're able to make your mark and let people know or understand. As a lady, I don't think that there's any role you'll be at that you would not have some kind of gender bias. Some people would think that you should be easier to manipulate than the male colleagues. The number says what it says. I cannot make the number sound better than what it actually is, right? I can try to sweeten it to not just throw a punch, but the number says what it says, right? I cannot turn numbers into action that is opposites. If the number says this is what we are to do, then that is what I am going to say that the number says. But you have to grow grit as a lady in any field of life. You have to show your value, and that's when they know that whether you're a lady or a guy, as long as you can bring in value. And I think that that's one of the skills that, because sometimes the role would require longer nights. Every other person is at home and playing, and sometimes you are in front of your laptop crunching numbers, and those are kind of things that some people might find like, oh, a lady should not be doing that, or a lady cannot be doing that, or a lady might not want to do that, right? But if it is something you're passionate about, then you should be able to let them know that this is, and not just by saying it out, but let people around know that you are great at what you're doing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Opeyemi. So I want to ask, what are some of the common mistakes? Because you said if it is whatever the number says, that is what you should write. Whatever it is, you should put it there. That is what makes it a data, giving the right information. So right now, my question is, what are some of those common mistakes that young analysts make that they should avoid as much as possible?
Okay, so the first thing that comes to my mind is jumping into conclusions. Sometimes you have a situation and they say maybe, oh, our numbers have dropped, what has happened? And then you just say, oh, it might be because of, it's not your place to jump into conclusion. It is your place to investigate, take all the facts that you need to get. Get all the facts that you need to get, and then do your own job. Look at the numbers, analyze it. What is this number saying? And then don't rush to say something that you are not sure of before doing your analysis, because it's something that many young it's just like saying, oh, somebody got late to work on the day that rain fell, and you say, he got to work because rain fell. How do you know the person did not oversleep at home? It's just the same way in businesses. How do I know that the reason why this thing dropped or the reason why sales increased is because of this thing that I assume has just happened? So that's number one. Then number two is ignoring context. What works for a business or for business A would not necessarily work for business B. So you are not to carry expectations of one business into another. And just because I have said you need to understand like how business works to be able to help them get value, does not mean that you carry the context of one business that you have already worked with and carry it straight into. You can apply what you know, but it doesn't mean you carry the context. And I think the most important thing for me, for a mistake to avoid, is overcomplicating analysis, especially for non-technical stakeholders. They don't need to know the number of codes that you wrote or the number of, especially for people that are not technical. Just data without or analysis that sounds very complicated makes it tiresome for even the business owners. So you just give what is important. The work you did at the background does not need to come out. You just need to provide the evidence of what you have done. That is, this is what I have done, and this is how it impacts your business.
All right, thank you so much, Opeyemi. Okay, so if Africa and Africans decide to implement the data they have in their businesses, let's say 5 years from now, how do you see the business environment of Africa if data is properly implemented?
Okay, so I think data-driven decision-making would allow African businesses to compete globally by giving them intelligence and not just size or resources. With the right insights, companies can forecast trends, they can optimize their operations, they can understand their customers, and they can, most importantly, respond quickly to market changes. For example, if you're tracking key metrics consistent with maybe startups or SMEs, you will be able to easily identify growth opportunities, right? Maybe there's a business service that you are rendering that you might not even be really interested in or putting a lot of your efforts into. Data can let you know that is the oil that you are sitting on, and then identify the potential for growth for you. So it will also enable them to scale efficiently and compete internationally, because most international brands, they do not joke with data. They do not joke with understanding what their customers want, understanding what their customer needs, getting feedback from their customers, tailoring their products and services to fit what is profitable to them based on what their customers are going to respond to. So for me, data would allow African businesses to compete on a global level.
Wow, thank you so much, Opeyemi. Yes, this is Just Africa. We'll be having this robust topic with Opeyemi Labode. Of course, she's the founder and the CEO of Beyond Data Tools. Opeyemi, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, but before I let you go, of course, your name says it all. We know you're based in the UK, and you're reaching us from there right now. But you're Yoruba, which makes you a proud African. Yes. So you're going to greet our viewers. This is Just Africa, so you have to be African right now. You're going to use the Yoruba language. I don't want to ask you your state so that you will not be able to speak your dialect. But at least you can speak Yoruba. So I want you to greet everyone, tell your viewers, your friends, and everyone to keep watching Soak News TV, and of course, subscribe to the Just Africa show.
Oh, okay.
In Yoruba.
Ẹ káàsán, gbogbo ilé. Orúkọ mi ni Opeyemi. Mo fẹ́ ní kẹ́ máa wo Sook News TV, Kede, subscribe. I think
To Just Africa.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yes, you try. That's okay. Okay.
Thank you
At
very
least
much.
maybe before we bring you on the show next time, you would have prepared yourself.
Yes, I'll
You
be
would have
prepared
known
for
that.
this. Yes, I'll be prepared. Yes, I'll be prepared for this.
For this part.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Opeyemi. And we appreciate your time. We appreciate your insights on today's show.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome.